Recording in progress.
To organizing committee, we are shortly starting the program. As there are traffic jam around this hotel, we delayed the program willingly. Now we are to start the program. To start the program, I am requesting Dr. Bhagirathi sir, President, Karimnagar Psychiatry Society, to preside over the function. Minhaj and George, attention to Minhaj and George, please sit down. Attention to Minhaj and George Reddy. I am requesting today's chief guest, Dr. Vinay Kumar, President-elect, Indian Psychiatry Society. Sir, bouquet to Vinay Kumar, sir. I am requesting George Reddy, this guest of honor, President, Indian Psychiatry Society, Telangana State Branch. Next, Dr. Praveen Manna, guest of honor, President. This side, come this side. President, Indian Association of Private Psychiatry, Telangana State Branch. Requesting the Dr. Rajesh, President, Hyderabad Psychiatry Society, as guest of honor of this today's function. I'm requesting Dr. Prasad Rao, chairperson of today's oration. Sir, please come out to the dais, sir. We need your message, and you are the part of this oration since the beginning. Now, I'm requesting today's orator, Dr. Peter John Varahagan. Dr. Anuhya is giving bouquet to today's orator. Requesting all to sit down to start the proceedings. To start the program, I think opening remarks by me, respected presiding officer Dr. Bhagirathi sir is a founder president of Karimnagar Psychiatry Society. We started this society around 11 years back in Karimnagar. Yeah. He is a person who started first, he's the first psychiatrist in Karimnagar, and he has done a lot of awareness because stigma was there since before 3 decades or almost 4 decades back. And he started in his own way. And now we are getting a lot of patients because of him, his work, and sensitizing the public, sensitizing the doctors, other medical professionals about psychiatry. That is why Karimnagar Psychiatry Society since inception till now, even though we are having constitution and bylaws, every 2 years we'll have elections and general body, and still everybody is asking him to continue as a president. And demand is continuing. And I think Dr. Lakshman is here, is already president-elect. because next senior, we are having a tradition to respect the age. And he is older than me, that's why we elected, and he is the able person who will handle next presidentship. Shortly, next year, he will take over. He was retired superintendent of civil hospital, district headquarters hospital of Karimnagar. And today's chief guest, Dr. Vinay Kumar sir. I want to catch him since last 3-4 months, but hectic schedule. I don't know how the schedule of Dr. Vinay Kumar sir for next year after taking over, but I'm not able to catch him. We had a very good program under leadership of Dr. Praveen Manna, suicidal run at Karimnagar. We missed him. Even CME, last CME, Jaj Reddy and Telangana State Branch EC tried a lot to get him at Khammam, but dates problem there, parallel programs. And I think we are lucky enough to have Vinay Kumar ji today as a chief guest for this prestigious oration. Thank you, sir, for accepting and blessing the Karimnagar Psychiatric Society as well as the Telangana State Branch. Coming to Prasad Rao, sir is the person we should remember who has contributed to Wholehearted. Today, Program Ready Oration is one of the prestigious oration in India as well as abroad. And sir helped us, and Dr. Chandrasekhar, I want to remember Dr. Chandrasekhar and Dr. M.S. Reddy, Dr. Ashok Reddy sir, all helped us in guiding us, Karimnagar Psychiatric Society, to make this oration to this level. I don't want to tell details, but in selection of the orators and in conducting and their encouragement, we want to remember, we will keep in our hearts. Coming to Jaj Reddy, he is the dynamic founder secretary, was trained by Dr. Raghuram Reddy as a founder president of Telangana State Branch. He has done 2 terms, I think, as a foundation seminal work in developing constitution to Telangana State Branch, even in recognition of Telangana State Branch. And I think he was already a past president of IAPP State, Telangana, and now became president of Telangana State Branch. Under his leadership, lot of activities are going on, and we remember him as his father for the contribution of Telangana State Branch. And the proud moment is he belongs to our Karimnagar and is a person of Karimnagar boy. Coming to Manna Praveen, the secret of the success journey of Karimnagar Psychiatric Society is a treasury department of KPS. He is a very able person in the maintenance of treasury. And with that success, we started Shatavana Best PG Paper Award at South Zone level by KPS through Telangana State Branch. And we also done this Karimnagar Oration program, Raghuram Reddy Oration program. Most of them are Raghuram Reddy students in KPS. And we recently started P. Raghuram Reddy Research Fund in South Zone with 10 lakhs corpus fund. With all this, his credit goes to Manna Praveen. He is one of the young psychiatrists, now became president, IAPP. We pray for him, and he's a wonderful man. He started practice after Bhagireddy. I am the second person. He is the third person in Karimnagar who starts practice with full all services, inpatient and outpatient services. Coming to Rajesh, is a successful consultant psychiatrist in Karimnagar, Hyderabad, presently heading the prestigious association, the Hyderabad Psychiatric Society, as a president. And I'm having some requests and reservation about HPS. And we are the founder members of HPS. And today we came to this stage because of HPS. I want to tell proudly. I used to come to all CMEs of HPS. And all drug launching, Risperidone launching, Olanzapine launching, all drug launching used to happen in Hyderabad. We peripheral districts used to come and listen. We used to start immediately. That was not happening since last 4 or 5 years. I don't know. So there are HPS members in Warangal, HPS member in Karimnagar, there are HPS member in Khammam and Nizamabad also. My request to you, sir, and being a president of HPS, and we are not getting even notice for a general body meeting, being a member, senior members of HPS, and we want to participate. We are not at all in competition. We are having our own association, and try to remember the Karimnagar Psychiatrist Society, Nizamabad Psychiatrist Society, and Warangal Psychiatrist Society, and Khammam Psychiatrist Society organizations are coming, and they are doing wonderful job. There is a oration program in Khammam Psychiatrist Society, and with this is the strength of Telangana State Branch, and you are the you have to do pioneering work, because HPS by seniors, lot of, I think, include Raghuram Reddy, Mazid Khan, and all legendaries has done a lot of work to HPS. Now HPS is having prestigious orations, and almost after Bombay Psychiatric Society. Like this is, I think you try to encourage the district societies to contribute to the Telangana State Branch. There's a request from our Criminal Psychiatric Society. Thank you very much for accepting and making this oration program success by to your cooperation. Both Judge Reddy and Rajesh are guiding us to conduct oration in Hyderabad. So coming to Raghuram Reddy oration, we started this oration 6 years back. And the decision about general body of Karimnagar Psychiatric Society is to give one oration to the legendary psychiatrist in India, 1 year, and 1 year outside India. So that is going on. I think we are able to see the past orators. The first foundation oration is given, and here the Dr. B.N. Gangadhar sir accepted the first oration, and at Karimnagar is a very grand celebration of installation ceremony of Raghuram Reddy oration. That is more than 6 years back. Then Rajiv Tandon, second time, same hall we conducted the oration. So third is Ajit Avasthi. Then the fourth is Keshavan, Dr. Keshavan from USA. And fourth oration gone to Mohandas. Now the sixth edition is Peter J. Verhagen. So he's the person of founder secretary of and now I'm EC member of WPS section of spirituality. And he is the founder secretary of that section of WPA. So since then, he nurtured the section as a chairman, I think 2 times, and he's still in the spirituality work. And I think he has made a lot of leaders in spirituality. Today, he's talking, we need leaders, young leaders, trendsetters in spirituality in future generation, because we are almost crossing, I am crossing 60, and we are outgoing batch. Now, young batch should come and take over the responsibilities and future. With this few remarks as a secretary of KPS, and I'm handing over to the president, Bhagirathi sir, to carry the proceedings.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasant evening in this very popular hotel, Taj Deccan. It is quite a coincidence because we have got so many psychiatric meetings here in this very hall several times, and all of them were very successful. Some of them were presided over by Dr. Prasad Rao and all other luminaries. So coming to the point of Karimnagar Psychiatric Society, it started 11 years ago. Thank you. So all the dignitaries on the dais, Dr. Prasad Rao, Dr. George Reddy, and our Honorary Secretary of Karimnagar Psychiatry Society, Dr. Kishan, and Dr. Vinay Kumar, our President-elect, and Praveen Manna, our Treasurer of Karimnagar Psychiatry Society, and Dr. Rajesh. Just now, Dr. Kishan was telling that we from the Karimnagar also were the first people to be members of Hyderabad Psychiatry Society, HPS. But nowadays we don't get anything. Perhaps we are excommunicated or we are not being informed of that. And above all, our chief guest of today, Dr. Peter Vagan, is really a tall man. He's a man of his own stature. Not only his knowledge and his wisdom, he's also tall in nature also for all of us. So I can also request, so our wholehearted welcome to our area, the Hyderabad, that is. Coming back to the Karimnagar Psychiatry Society, we started 11 years ago. It has been very vibrant, very active. Of all the psychiatry societies of Telangana, even when we started, it was in the erstwhile Andhra Pradesh state. Even then, we used to have very active all the time. So we used to have our conferences, meetings, several seminars in Karimnagar. So 6 years ago, we thought, why can't we institute an oration award in the name of one of the living legendary, our very beloved teacher, Dr. Raghuram Reddy Garu. So we thought unanimously, we all decided that we should start an oration in his name. So soon after saying that, we contributed 10 lakhs of rupees to install a oration also at South Zone, which has been approved and it has been active now. Every year we are going. Coming to the oration, when we started first, we invited very important luminaries, nationally famous psychiatrists and teachers and all that. First of all, the first and the best, we started with Dr. Gangadhar in Karimnagar, where he came, and it was very, very successful. Then we thought, why can't we go out of the state also? So we invited Dr. Raju Tandon. So that was also very successful. And again, third year from Chandigarh, we invited Dr. Avasthi. And in fourth year, again, of course, we have gone from state to interstate also, national also, but why can't we internationally go? So we invited Dr. Keshavan from USA, and it was very, very successful and very well applauded at the time. And then Dr. Mohan Das, because of this COVID and Corona episode, so we could not have a proper big meeting. So we had a webinar meeting with his oration was by Dr. Mohan Das. Now, as I said, this time the credit goes to Dr. Vagan, and who is really a great man internationally and nationally. He's the person who started the spirituality and religion in psychiatry. He was the founder secretary of the subject in the World Psychiatry Society, Association, and he 2 times he was president for that. And now, following his footsteps, Dr. Kishan has taken over this one. Now he's the secretary of the national the spirituality aspect in psychiatry practice. So we thought with this few words, so we started our humble start from Karimnagar. Then we shifted, why not we go to, now it's this 6th oration, we are doing it in Hyderabad. Perhaps with all our active participants and all our junior active members of Karimnagar Psychiatry Society, next time, perhaps we might go to Delhi to conduct the same oration here. And if not, and internationally also, I am planning, maybe I am over ambitious, either internationally also we should go either Nepal or Sikkim or something like that we are planning. So it will combine both to understand the different varieties of the people and the pan-Indian aspect of psychiatry, how best we do, and Karimnagar Psychiatry Society can do the best for the propagating. Coming back to the oration of Dr. Raghuram Reddy Garu, is a professor of professors, and most of these students have become professors, and there are a couple of young students, Dr. Pavan Kulkarni here, Dr. Sai here, Dr. Shiva here, and all of the, most of his students, and Dr. Ashok Reddy Garu, and so many people. They're all professors and in their own way. And that shows the Professor Emeritus, Dr. Raghuram Reddy Garu, rightly deserves, he's a living legend in the field of psychiatry. So that's what we have decided to have this one. Now, not to wait, it's already getting a bit late because of the traffic, other things. Not we are taking much of your time. Now, the next item in our this thing, the lighting the lamp. Please.
Dr. B.N. Gangadhar sir, Dr. Raghuram Reddy sir, to please join for the lighting of lamp. Dr. Ashok Reddy sir, Dr. Arvind Brahma sir, Dr. Uday sir, Dr. Minaj sir, Dr. Vishal sir, please join for lighting of the lamp sir.
Jagadamba Jaya Kolhapura Jagadamba
Praveen Chintapati sir, KK Lakshman sir, Pavan sir, please join sir.
Jagadamba Padmavatapura
Dinesh sir, Harish sir,
Karuno Jrumbita Mruduhase Madhye Kinchit Duragate Punarapi Karavirayate Jaya Kolhapura Jagadamba Jaya Mama Hridaye Jagadamba Linga Vibhushita Nijamakute Karadhrita Madi Ruchira Phale Linga Vibhushita Nijamakute Karadhrita Madi Ruchira Phale Sumahita Lakshmi Namadhare Jaya Jaya Sachidananda Pare Sumahita Lakshmi Namadhare Jaya Jaya Sachidananda Pare Jaya Kolhapura Jagadamba Jaya Mama Hridaye Jagadamba Jaya Mama Hridaye Jagadamba.
Thank you sir.
Now, message by Dr. Rajesh, President of Hyderabad Psychiatry Society.
Good evening, everyone. At the outset, I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to address this gathering. I welcome all the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. And it's indeed an honor and privilege for me to be present in this prestigious Dr. Raghuram Reddy Oration Award. And many stalwarts have presented this award before, as already the previous speakers mentioned. And I welcome today's presenter, Dr. Peter Verghen from Netherlands. And without wasting much time, we are waiting to listen to his oration. And I hand over the proceedings to the next speaker.
Now, I request Dr. Praveen Kumar, IAPP President.
Good evening, everyone. And I welcome all the members to this prestigious Dr. Raghuram Reddy Oration Award. Dignitaries on the dais, and the members joining through the Zoom. Welcome you all. And being an IAPP President Telangana State Branch, I extend warm welcome and best wishes to this program. And actually, being a treasurer of Karimnagar Psychiatry Society, I wanted to highlight one thing. Though actually Karimnagar Psychiatry Society was formed 11 years back with the guidance of Dr. Bhagya Reddy sir, Dr. Kishan sir and me. And now we are around 20 members in Karimnagar Psychiatric Society. So the person behind every program is Dr. Bhagya Reddy sir and Kishan sir. Actually here the main thing I wanted to highlight is love and affection of a student towards his guru. So Kishan sir admires and loves his guru, Dr. Raghuram Reddy sir, a lot. And he wants to actually install an award at South Zone level and Telangana state level. Somehow I don't know the reasons, but it was not worked out. But sir wanted to express his love by donating 10 lakh rupees to IMH Alumni Award in the name of Dr. Raghuram Reddy sir. And in our Karimnagar Psychiatric Society, we have actually installed Raghuram Reddy sir Oration Award, and it is becoming a very prestigious award. Within 6 years, we are international speakers and national legendary speakers has given an oration. So this time, actually, an international speaker is actually orator has come to deliver his lecture. In this occasion, I wanted to congratulate Dr. Kishan sir, particularly, and Karimnagar Psychiatry Society. And with these few words, I'm extending again a warm welcome. Thank you very much.
Now, another young psychiatrist and a very dynamic Dr. George Reddy. He's from the same place of Karimnagar. So I want him to give a brief message.
Good evening, one and all. I think I'll not repeat the things. I think this is for Dr. Peter sir, just to tell you the history of Karimnagar. This is a place which is around 140 kilometers from Hyderabad. And Karimnagar is the land of sacrifice. It's a land of fighting spirit. And the state of Telangana was formed. I think it is from Karimnagar where the agitation started. And that's how we got Telangana here. And the Karimnagar Psychiatric Society also, again, it shows the spirit. It's continuing so many activities and on par with the National IPS oration, so much contribution from Karimnagar Psychiatric Society, Dr. Bhagya Reddy sir, Dr. Kishan sir, Dr. Praveen Manna, we have Dr. Lakshman sir, we have Dr. Sai, we have Dr. Shiva, we have Dr. Varshi, Dr. Pavan. So many active members are from Karimnagar Psychiatric Society, sir. And this society, instilling Dr. Raghuram Reddy oration, I think an excellent gesture from the student to his guru, but he is guru to all of us. So really, we feel that this oration is ours also. So I think we are really happy that it's taking place in Hyderabad. And we are blessed that Dr. Vinay Kumar sir, the president-elect, is here on this occasion. As Kishan sir said, we are trying to catch him for many programs, but I think thanks to God that at least he's here for this prestigious oration as the chief guest. And we have Arvinda Dada, General Secretary. I think his flight was at 8 o'clock and he postponed his flight to be here. And our sweet and darling President for the IPS South Zone, Dr. Uday sir, is here. I think really to have so many stalwarts from all over the country. And we wish that Hyderabad Psychiatric Society also tries to replicate the Karimnagar Psychiatric Society in this way. More orations and might be we should be more active. Again, as Dr. Kishan sir said, we will definitely rectify, see that all will be invited. And Dr. Ashok Reddy sir is silently listening, and I'm sure sir will also help us. And thanks to Dr. B.N. Gangadhar sir for staying all the day, sir. And it's really that he was there. It is a good omen. Sir took the first oration. I think it is continuing without any hiccups, and hope we will have many more famous personalities for this oration, sir. Peter, sir, that's all about Karimnagar and Karimnagar Psychiatric Society, sir. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Dr. George. You enlightened the history of Karimnagar to strangers. Another bit of history I want to add it to Dr. Prasad Rao, my younger brother. Please sit down 1 minute. Perhaps most of you don't know, as I was saying, Karimnagar is very vibrant and very active district everywhere. Dr. Prasad Rao, sitting in front of us today, is a national, internationally famous person now in the field of psychiatry. His first launching and springboard was from Karimnagar. From Karimnagar, he was elected. I was organizing secretary at that time for the first time in Karimnagar district. People were at what they have, Andhra Pradesh. People were even not sure about that, but it was only at Prasad and at Ashok Reddy at that time behind this thing. Bhagirathi Garu, you go ahead with this. We'll have it for Karimnagar, because before that always used to be only big cities like Hyderabad, Vijayawada, Rajahmundry, or Vizag, or something like that. So for the first time in Telangana, I think the Karimnagar we started, and it was very, very successful. And that was successful with that regard of Dr. Prasad Rao as a springboard, a launching pad, I can say. So from there, he never looked back. He went from Karimnagar to Hyderabad, became this thing, and national president and international president, and got not. I think he has got list of his achievements. So now I request Dr. Prasad Rao, my younger brother, beloved brother, to give his message.
Reddy Garu, you have snatched away all my words, so I don't have much to talk about. But I was about to start. First of all, Dr. Vinay, the incoming president of Indian Psychiatric Society, our chief guest, and Dr. Bhagya Reddy sentiments and George Reddy's sentiments, I very strongly reciprocate. Today is one of my happiest days. Yes, you are right. 22 years back, when I became president at Karimnagar, I actually brought Karimnagar to the broad light. And then he took over as the president, and then we continued the way. Only 3 things I want to say. First of all, I was involved in this award since the beginning. I was part of the selection committee and helped Kishan, and all the 6 speakers, including starting from Gangadhar, I played a part, both Rajiv Tandon, every one of them. So I'm yet again proud that Peter is selected this year for one more personal reasons. Spirituality has been one of my area, and bringing the person and icon in the world psychiatry who started this section is a honor for all of us, and especially for the Karimnagar psychiatry. The second thing I would like to really talk very briefly is your message today, Peter, is going to be the youngsters sitting here might actually get interested in this subspecialty. I would call it subspecialty, religion and spirituality in psychiatry. So thank you very much once again. The third one, for the youngsters sitting here, I have a very brief message. I am the scientific chair for the World Psychiatric Association Regional Congress at Calcutta. There are a travel sponsorship, so each one of you can apply. Anyone can contact me or can go to the World Psychiatric Association Regional Congress. So I would invite, along with the youngsters, to present their free papers and research. You apply for the travel grant. And the seniors, I request all of you to come to the Congress and make it successful. Thank you very much. Kishan, I cannot close my younger brother's Kishan's energy. In fact, even today, I keep thinking people like Kishan to work like them, probably till I can do that much. I still go to my hospital, Asha Hospital at 6:40, and I work till 7:30. So people like Kishan actually give me, and of course, Vinay also is similar brand like me. Thank you, Vinay, for coming. And all of the people sitting here, guys, are the young, bright stars of Indian Psychiatric Society, Telangana State Branch. And I wish all of you and all the youngsters sitting there all the best. And I hope to continue to listen these orations for the next few years, as long as I am mentally healthy and be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prasad Rao Garu. You have given a very fitting message for all the youngsters, especially for the understanding of Dr. Peter Wagan. The religion, what we practice here in India, mostly majority of them are Hindus. So you must have seen Dr. Prasad Rao with his suit on and Hindi on his forehead. So that itself reflects how much spirituality and this thing, Sanatana, he reflects and he represents the India all over the world. That's what my, thank you very much, Prasad Rao Garu. Now, I request the very big man going to be in future shortly, Dr. Vinay Kumar, and he has taken his time to come all the way. And we are very much thankful to you to partake in our this oration conference. Now, a brief message by Dr. Vinay Kumar, please. Thank you.
President of Karimnagar Psychiatric Society and presiding officer of the inaugural function of this prestigious oration award session, Dr. K. Bhagireddy Sahab, Professor Raghuram Reddy sir. Before I start talking anything, I would like to recall that exactly 20 years back, in 2003, Raghurami Reddy sir organized ANSIPS in Hyderabad, in which I contested for the post of direct council member for the first time. I lost that election by 15 votes. Dr. Prasad Rao was the winner. And after that, what happened, Raghurami Reddy sir and myself, both were nominated in the Finance Committee. He was chairperson, I was convener. In those days, co-chairperson post was not in vogue. So we started working together. When time came for some report, I requested him, sir, kindly tell me what Finance Committee does in IPS. I was a novice, I was not knowing anything. So he said, even I don't know. IPS Finance Committee, what does? So, but then I requested when the midterm CME came and some report was to be presented. So I requested him, sir, guide me something because I have got a message that I have to prepare a report. I am the convener, I have to prepare a report. So I was given a mail from by Dr. Roy Abraham that come prepared with a report. So I requested him. He sent me email with 4 or 5 lines, and I put 3 or 4 lines, and that was the way our first report was presented. So induction in IPS Executive Council was possible due to blessings of Dr. Raghuram Reddy sir. I am feeling honored that I am a very small person, has been designated chief guest. I've been invited as a chief guest for this function. I'm feeling honored, really honored, sir. groom of the day, Dr. Peter. Congratulations. What a pleasant surprise to H a meeting. Holland and Hyderabad. What a pleasant surprise. What a pleasant surprise that a person sitting in Holland is talking about India's contribution in the field of spirituality. This tells lots of things. This reminds that a German, Max Muller, helped us in being translated all our pristine documents, very valuable documents, Vedas, and now we have all the details and everything. So in old times, Sanskrit and English, all our scriptures were read and understood in only 2 languages. In other languages, translation came much later. Other dignitaries on the dais, I'm not taking names. I would like to share a few things. I come from Bihar. Bihar is another historical state, and once upon a time, Gupta Empire and Maurya Empire used to rule almost entire India, and it is said that the history of Magadh for 1,000 years is the history of India, basically. So that was the situation. So 3, 4, 5 big universities were there. One was Nalanda University, another Vikramshila, third one Vajrasan where the Bodh Gaya is, fourth one was Udantpuri. There is a place called Bihar Sharif. This university was called Udantpuri, means Udayantpuri. Something is flying in the air because it was located on a hilly area. And fifth one was Telhara. Teladhak. Now it is called Telhara. So that is excavation is going on in that place. So all these were big universities and attracted readers from everywhere. So I am giving this background to just quote one shlok by Shantidev of 10th century, I think he was, and he was professor at Nalanda University. He says, Chadaitum Medini Sarvam Kutasharam Bhavishyati Upanashar Matrena Channa Bhavati Medini. Translation is, to cover entire earth, where the leather will come from. Earth can be covered with the leather you are wearing as shoe. I think this was the message given for the first time to entire world. And we psychiatrists, what we do, we take care of persons. This message tells that persons are important. So person-centered medicine, personalized medicine, and persons are important. In Buddhism, there were 2 famous vehicles, yanas, called Heenyan, Mahayan. Initially, it was thought that Heenyan is a person who is trying to become enlightened, trying to get enlightened. He tries to become Buddha. It's a personal journey that is called Heenyan. And Mahayan, a bigger one, where entire world can be accommodated. Now, if we can draw parallels, we can see that Karl Marx talked about putting everybody on the same yan, and our systems usually talks about individuals. Karl Marx talks about that religion is a pain reliever. He says that religion is opium. When I'm coming to spirituality soon, so the religion is opium because it alleviates pain, and it so revolution is not possible because people, those who are in pain, they don't raise their hand, they don't take arms, and they don't do revolution. But this spirituality, person-centric thing is different. It tells about that it's not possible to solve all the problems. Any system of governance, be it socialist, be it communist, be it democracy, nobody can be free from all miseries, all pain. Something has to be done. Here comes the message of Shantidev, what he said, that earth can be covered with the leather of the soul. So protecting person is important, and enlightenment of person is important. This is the message I would like to give youngsters especially, that enlightenment is important, and enlightenment is possible at personal level. And when you are treating your patient, he or she is a person. So take care of person. Take care of not patient. Patienthood is another thing. Person is another thing. So think of personhood. Person is having some illness, but you are helping the person to get rid of miseries. So that is the message. I think here comes the role of spirituality. And Indian scriptures, lots of messages. Shantidev came much later, but if we go like Saraswati Rahasya Upanishad or other texts, or Gita and Mahabharata and all texts if we go through, we find lots of messages. I'd like to conclude with a line from Ramcharitmanas by Goswami Tulsidas. He says, Shastra suchintit puni puni dekhiye. What a noble message is there. Usually Orthodox people say that Shastra, all scriptures are well thought. Shastra suchintit puni puni dekhiye. Revisit again and again. Some people take message that you have to read your Shastras again and again. All messages are there. But you can interpret in this way also. Revisit. Research. So revisiting is not accepting what is written there. Revisiting is evaluation of the old texts also. In the current times, when we are talking about spirituality, it is important to have this in mind, that we are not accepting everything as usual. We are science people from science, so we have to take a scientific stand. So we have to discuss, we have to talk about science of spirituality and the messages which are suitable for day-to-day practice. Because what has happened in a few decades, what we see today, that lots of spirituality centers are functioning in a different manner, and many gurus are there and delivering different kind of thing. And so spirituality is being marketed. So we have to be aware of that also. With these few messages, I would like to thank Dr. Kishan and his team for inviting me here as a chief guest. I'm not a very rare kind of person, or not unavailable, as it was told again and again. Actually, IPS programs are so many, and our subcommittees around 70 plus subcommittees, and all committees are hyperactive. And everybody, so the thing is, if you have promised somebody, you have to go there. And I missed that program simply because I was in Chandigarh for Women Mental Health program. And Yat Naryastu Pujyante Ramante Tatra Devata. You cannot ignore ladies. Jahan Naryon ki puja hoti, wahan devta baste hain. So I decided to go Chandigarh, and I'm sorry for that. Whenever, anytime you invite me, you call me. Invitation is a very big word. You call me, I will be there at your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vinay Kumar. It's so very message you have given, very touching. If you remember, I don't think you can recall, a month ago, or at the time of your election, just one fine morning, I got a call from an unknown call, he thought. I said, hello, good morning, Vinay Kumar. I said, sir, how do you know my name? I said, I remember you. Because when there's a national conference at Bodh Gaya, you were the organizing secretary. I asked him, I requested him to accompany me to go to that Bodh tree, where I wanted to see very much this thing. And you accompanied me, and you gave me somebody else to this. Oh, I remember, and I got your phone number at that time. And if that is the case, sir, I am the one, Vinay Kumar, you said, and I am contesting for the presidentship. And you also, I told him, yes, not only me, all of Telangana people, all Telangana psychiatrists, we are going to. So once you said that word, the very word he said, whether I win or not, your word is enough for me, sir. I said, definitely you're going to win, and you did. So, so that is Vinay Kumar here. So you come from a place where Buddha attained his jnana. And surprisingly, perhaps you know, in Telangana state, majority of the civil servants, IPS and IAS, are Biharis. Yeah, so that means we are getting a very good governance here. So because all the service people are from Bihar, and I think all Biharis are very elite people, and you are one of the examples. Thank you. And now, without taking much of your time, I think his flight was at 8 o'clock this evening, but because of this function, he has postponed. Now we want to felicitate you for this thing. Shall we do it now? Yeah, please. No, we will do it.
Sir, you are going to felicitate the orator also, but we decided
it will take time because
you can go at any point of time in between. So please come, sir. After felicitation, the oration starts.
Yeah, you can.
And we have seen the depth of the Vinay Kumar today, and I think IPS office will be in the best hands. For next year, we are going to see is a memento by Prasad Rao and George Reddy. Bouquet. Peter and Bhagirathi sir is doing felicitation. Praveen, you please. Rajesh, sir, these are all young psychiatrists. You should bless them. George, Praveen, Rajesh. Mahabharat, Veda, Max Muller, and Marx, Karl Marx. A lot of things. Yeah. Yeah. So,
thank you, Dr. Following the same Buddhist principles. Now, the next item.
Yeah, presentation of Raghuram Reddy Oration Award to Dr. Peter Jagaragan. Sir, please come over for the presentation of award. I'm requesting Dr. Pavan and Lakshman to come give the bouquet. Lakshman is the president-elect and you have to continue the tradition of KPS. After Bhagirathi. Pavan. Yeah. Sir, go on. Next gold medal. Next, I'm requesting Raghuram Reddy and Vinay Kumar, sir. Raghuram Reddy and Vinay Kumar, sir, to give the gold medal. Sir, please, sir. He's a legendary psychiatrist. With God's grace, hope he will bless newer generation also. God is favoring and is giving good health to sir. We'll pray for him.
Harish, please join onto the stage.
Now I'm requesting Dr. B.N. Gangadhar and Dr. Ashok Reddy, sir.
We request members of KPS.
Sir is
hold
the
back.
first recipient of Raghuram Duration Award, Shal. Sir, Ashok Reddy, sir, please come here. And Ashok Reddy, sir, is a person who trained so many young, disciplined.
Very disciplined, I know.
The certificate of appreciation by Dr. Bhagiredi, sir, President, and Dr. Manna Praveen, President IAPP. Sir, please come. Please come. Sir. Okay. Uday Kumar is here. Vishal, please. Memento by Vishal and Minhas. Aravinda gives certificate. Certificate of appreciation by Dr. Aravinda Dada, and Rajesh and Dinesh, past president and present president of HPS. Please. Certificate of appreciation. Yeah. The citation.
Good evening to all. Dr. Peter John Verhagen was born in 19...
Wait. We want to present a check of honorarium as costing 40,000 rupees to the orator. Requesting Indian rupees. Dr. Praveen Chintapati, please come over. And Dr. Rangareddy Garu is doing a lot of work in public health. So please come. Inshallah. Lakshman, please join. Over to Sai to read the citation. Come to the picture and then. Or to Sai to read the citation.
Dr. Peter John Verhagen was born in 1957 in Gouda, Netherlands. In 1975, he began studying theology at University of Utrecht. He received his Bachelor of Arts in 1979 and Master of Arts in 1987. In 1988, he became a proponent of the Protestant Church in Netherlands. Dr. Verhagen began studying medicine in 1976 and registered as a psychiatrist in 1988. He trained in group psychotherapy, psychodynamic psychotherapy, interpersonal psychotherapy for depression, dialectic behavioral therapy, and schema for focus therapy. He obtained his PhD with a thesis titled Psychiatry and Religion Controversies and Consensus, a Matter of Attitude from Tilburg University in 2019. From 1st of September 2021, he has been appointed as Extraordinary Professor at Faculty of Theology and Religious Studies, the Pastoral Theology and Empirical Theology Research Institute of KU Lane on behalf of KSGV, Expertise Center for Religion and Mental Health. Dr. Peter J. Verhagen held many prestigious positions and is a member of many professional international bodies. He was a member and secretary of the board of Dutch Foundation of Psychiatry and Religion in 2000. He was the founding secretary of World Psychiatric Association, section on religion, spirituality, and psychiatry, chairperson from 2009 to 2014, and honorary member since 2014. He has been the coordinator for the platform for religion, spirituality, and meaning making of Dutch Association since 2020. He was certified as a moderator for moral case deliberation in 2014. He is a member of Netherlands Psychiatry Association, Dutch Association of Group Dynamics and Psychotherapy, and honorary member of Christian Association of Psychiatrists, Psychologists, and Psychotherapists. He is an international fellow of American Psychiatry Association. He is currently a supervisor at Dutch Association of Group Dynamics and Group Psychotherapy and Dutch Association of Psychotherapy. Dr. Verhagen worked at outpatient clinic in Central. Over the years, he has functioned as a leader of various terms in the short term and continued psychotherapeutic treatment programs. In addition, he has been actively involved in the supervision and training of mental health care trainees in topics like group psychotherapy, religion and psychiatry, module of philosophy, psychiatry, ethics, meaning giving in the past history of psychiatry and evidence-based psychiatry. He has publications on spirituality, religion and psychiatry in several textbooks and international journals. He was also on the editorial board of many reputed journals. Sir, with great honor, the Awards Committee and Executive Committee of Karimnagar Psychiatry Society has unanimously decided to honor you with the prestigious Dr. P. Raghuram Reddy Oration Award for the year 2022-23. Thank you, sir, for accepting our oration.
One photo by KPS members. Harish has to come out. He is the first student from Karimnagar, MD student, and all other PEs faculty. Please join. So we'll move.
Also Deccan College. Deccan College.
PEs, you should become model the. Deccan PEs.
We have one chair.
The chair is the better.
We'll go for KPS, Karimnagar PEs. After that, PEs from Hyderabad. So because better, we'll have separate photo. So please. All PEs should come. All PEs from Hyderabad, including RVM, will have.
All PGs from Karimnagar, KPS members, please.
RVM and Deccan PEs and IMH. Minhaj Battalion. Please come. Actually, Peter agreed to have a talk at Deccan, but and RVM also. Please, random RVM also. Anything missing, we'll go for oration next. So I'm requesting Peter Saab to give the oration. Yeah. You can remove, but keep the medal. You can remain. I'm requesting, no, chairperson. Before starting oration by Peter, and I'm requesting Dr. Bhagya Reddy and Dr. Prasad Rao to chair the session. Here, sir. You please. Over to Sai to introduce the chairperson.
We welcome Dr. Bhagya Reddy sir, President Karimnagar Psychiatry Society, and Dr. Prasad Rao sir, President AFPA. Both of them doesn't need any introduction. Over to the chairpersons.
It's indeed, I think you're going to be treated on two important connectedness, the central theme of religion and psychiatry, and spirituality and psychiatry. In both, the central theme is going to be kind of a connection. I have the liberty to talk for a few minutes before I hand over to Dr. Bhagya Reddy, because our speaker said he needs probably a bio break for a few minutes. I have had the association with Peter for the last decade or so. I know him once he started the section. He's the founder. He started this section in the World Psychiatry, the religion and spirituality section. And myself and Kishan also had a long interaction with him during our World Congress on Religion and Spirituality at Jerusalem. The central important thing is all religions might differ on something, but they are connected in the central message. And in psychiatry, connectedness goes for each one of us do practice some kind of spiritualism. And very briefly, Peter, at a personal level, plays piano. And again, that is one way of connectedness, my own feeling. He has been involved in, as you have heard in his biodata, basically a strong believer of the religion which he practices. And not only that, he uses some principles of that religion and spirituality practice in the diagnosis and treatment of our patients. And of course, in general, positive mental health well-being. When he chose this topic, especially the spirituality and mental health, what do we learn from Indian perspective? He is actually going to message us all about the larger Hindu. I think he's going to touch about and India is generally considered as a karma bhumi. If for the Peter, karma means a kind of spiritual, this is a spiritual land. We call ourselves Hinduism, and this land, India, and apart from Bhutan, Nepal, and other areas. And Buddhism is born here. Jainism is born here. So all among the Oriental languages, and I'm sure Peter is going to enlighten us. And he says at this age, he plays with his grandchildren, and that is the maximum relaxation and happiness. Peter, all for you.
Welcome to you all. I'm a Dutch psychiatrist. And I have no idea what you know about or what you have seen from my country, the Netherlands. Yes, we are that tiny country in Western Europe. To the east, our big neighbor, Germany. To the south, Belgium. To the west, the North Sea. And of course, at the other side of the North Sea, the United Kingdom. And yes, we were famous because of our windmills and wooden shoes and tulips. Actually, there was a period in our history that our trade in tulips was the basis of our wealth. By the way, we managed to trade around the world, and we even landed at your southwest coast, and we settled there for several decades. And of course, we not only traded tulips, but also other things. And nowadays, we are not so proud of that as we used to be. So the windmills are a sign of our struggle with the waters. We had to fight with the seas. We have to fight with the rivers. And our engineering became famous. And even our skill to help others in their fights against the water became famous, even in this part of the world. Actually, the Dutch people think that they know everything about everybody else. So we know about India and what your country is like and what your people like. But when we were here for the first time 4 years ago, I can't tell you how amazed, surprised, and moved we were when we discovered that there is much more than crowded cities like Delhi. We admired your culture, the wealth, the richness, the colors that were preserved during the ages, and so on and so on. And of course, the spiritual wealth around. It was amazing, and therefore it was really a pleasure to get the invitation to come over to this city and to be here tonight. Yes, windmills, wooden shoes, and tulips, that's what our country is still about. Presidents, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it is truly an intense You have awarded me this prize, and I'm deeply grateful to you for that, especially, of course, the name giver of this award for granting me this honor. It was immediately clear to my wife and me that we would travel to Hyderabad. At that time, my wife was not bothered by medical problems she is now struggling with. So unfortunately, she's not here, but in her room here in the hotel, and follows the Zoom session. And I'm incredibly grateful to her for her loving effort she wanted to make to be able to be here with me. I also want to express that my thoughts go out to the memory of our colleague and vice friend, Dr. Avdesh Sharma, and his family, of course. He passed away last year. And it was in Jerusalem at the end of 2019 that the intention of the WPA section on religion, spirituality, and psychiatry was to organize another international conference. Yes, we were willing to organize that conference in Hyderabad in 2021, we thought. But then came, of course, the pandemic. And last year, the news of his death. How would he not have committed himself to making a conference like this an exciting and inspiring experience? We think of him in gratitude. This is the outline of my talk. I want to present to you the problem of disenchantment and the question of a new enchantment. And you will be surprised with regard to the answer I have to the question, what do we learn from Indian perspective? Actually, I am not going to answer that question. My question will be to you to answer that question. What do we learn from the Indian perspective? But in the second part, I'll present to you a kind of direction in which we could go, a direction we could think of, and that's the ecological perspective. And then, as a Dutch Protestant, I will also try to say something about your deities. And then I will conclude the presentation. When I was in New Delhi in 2018, discussing the religious history taking with members of the Department of Psychiatry of the All Indian Institute of Medical Sciences, I made an obvious, strange proposal. I told something about images of God. I explained something about the research on God images and the meaning of God images from the perspective of object relational theory and attachment. And also that we ask our patients to tell something about their image of God. And there is a lot of empirical research on the correlation between changes in the image of God and relational functioning under the influence of therapy. Well, I told them that, and I asked the colleagues and the residents if they ever asked their patients about images of God. Now, that seemed, of course, difficult to me because Hinduism simply has so many gods. So I suggested that maybe they would ask a top 3 of gods or something like that. At that moment, there was a lot of laughter. No, we don't ask our patients for a top 3 of their gods. That's not what we do in our practice. That is not the case in Hinduism. You don't talk about the deities in that way in Hinduism. Hinduism, they explained to me, is for people mainly the daily rituals. And that's what we talk about with our patients. In the meantime, I learned that the picture is a bit more nuanced. I have read some papers on qualitative research that show very clearly that people from any religious tradition really have their views and can tell you a lot about their God image related to their life circumstances and in case of adversity. By the way, in my opinion, qualitative research is of utmost importance. In other words, multi-method approaches will help to create a better understanding of the meaning of spirituality more than numerical data can express. The moment of that discussion has stayed with me ever since. I found it rather awkward of myself. As if it were self-evident that you can just transfer something like the discourse about images of God from one religious world to another one. But also because God and gods apparently do not play the same role regardless of a religious tradition. There is apparently a substantial difference between believing in one God or living with many gods. There is also a substantial difference between one tradition with an obligatory credo and compulsory dogmas, like the Christian tradition, and one tradition without all that, like Hinduism. Shashi Tharoor, in his Why I Am a Hindu, a book from 2018, Shashi Tharoor states that it's not even necessary for a Hindu to believe in a God in order to be a Hindu. He tells, page 4, how he became familiar with the piety of his parents from an early age. A beautiful passage, by the way, in the light of object relationships theory and the birth of the living God, as Rizzuto called it. I quote Tharoor. My father never obliged me to join him. He exemplified the Hindu idea that religion is an intensely personal matter, that prayer is between you and whatever image of your maker you choose to worship. In the Hindu way, I was to find my own truth. You understand, I would like to ask him about that image, about his image of his maker. And of course, I realize that this is the testimony of an intellectual and gifted man. And of course, the question is how representative his stance is compared to common people. I am aware of the fact that Hinduism is not the original name of Indian religion. Dr. Srinivasa Murthy taught me that Dharma is the name, which simply means the eternal law that supports and sustains those who practice it. However, what is the use of 2,300 gods compared to having one or none? And that is what I want to learn today. I'm concerned with two things. First, since the famous German sociologist Max Weber, we have become familiar in the West with the idea of disenchantment. Disenchantment. That is, very briefly, the complete loss of the spiritual or religious meaning of the world around us. Disenchantment of the world we live in. I said we became familiar, but familiarized is not the right word because we do not feel comfortable with it, at least not anymore. It has punched a hole. It has thrown us back on ourselves. And we are looking, searching, desperately looking, searching for a new enchantment. Now, I think that this enchantment still exists in your country. At least it has not been so destructively undermined as in the West, or that must be a romanticizing mistake. But I would like to hear that from you. And undoubtedly, as academically trained professionals, you have been confronted with the disenchantment because disenchantment has not bypassed psychiatry. So you have undergone the influence of it, which might be reflected in your daily clinical work. My second point is the question of that new enchantment. Because where should it come from? That evokes a second memory of India from the beginning of the first lockdown in 2020. After 2 months, there was a report in one of our national newspapers about India and the Himalayas. After 30 years, it read, after 30 years, at a distance of 200 kilometers, the snow peaks of the Himalaya could be seen again. In the meantime, the air quality had improved dramatically. And when I read it in our newspaper, I thought, great, great. How much I would like to see that. That's what we do it for. A recovery, a renewal is possible despite the misery of the pandemic. There is room for change in how we relate to nature around us. That is not only surprising and beautiful, but also necessary. And I thought for a moment, it's a wonderful post of a new enchantment. I'm afraid it has been over for a while. But a shift to ecological-oriented thinking might reveal a new enchantment. And that is what I want to explore with your help. What is this enchantment? The enchanted man felt part of a magical whole that had a deep meaning, a living world controlled by magical powers. The modern humans, however, feel closed off only in a meaningless and mechanical world. And this closed feeling of the modern self is fundamentally peculiar to a disenchanted worldview. In an enchanted worldview, man's self is porous. It is in direct connection with higher forces that have an influence on the self. The mind of man is intertwined with the spiritual world around him. And an extreme example of this is the idea of possession by evil spirits or demons. In the disenchanted world, the image of man is characterized by absolute freedom or autonomy. And man has been thrown back on himself and is now himself the absolute measure of things. There is no single shared horizon of meaning that transcends the individual. Where in the enchanted world, we understood all values within one absolute value sphere, namely religion or spirituality. The modern world is fragmented into different spheres of value that exist autonomously. And this enchanted world is deprived of all spirituality, because spirit or consciousness can only be found in the self and not in the natural world, which is made up of inert matter. Therefore, the self is closed off and is no longer connected to a spiritual environment. The great chain of being is no more. There is no longer a spiritual order in the world and meaning. And meaning has become a private matter. There is no higher authority than man himself, who can basically explain everything through rational science, which derives its authority only from himself, no longer from the divine. In the enchanted world, every stone, every river, every star derived its meaning from its place in the cosmic chain of things. Everything had a role and meaning within a larger story. In other words, the world was holistic. Everything derived its meaning from the whole, not from himself, including man. So modern man has reduced his environment to mere things, materials, raw materials, and instruments for his personal needs. And each phenomenon is reduced to mere numbers and formulas. And all this is due, of course, the success of the rational and empirical natural sciences. We now want and can restrict nature with reason. Modern man is no longer receptive to the mystery and the magical, because we all assume that everything that is can, in principle, be explained scientifically. Even phenomena that actually still form a mystery to science do no longer appear as magical mystery, because we assume that these phenomena are also naturally explainable in a scientific way. Everything that is rational and scientifically transparent to modern man. In psychology too, this disenchantment took place. From the 17th century onwards, modern, rational, empirical thinking came into conflict with conventional psychology and humanities. And in the new image of man, there is no longer any room for an etheric soul or for spiritual forces. The new psychology wanted to reconcile itself with the natural sciences and looked for physical causes for mental disorders. So the spiritual domain became a matter of imagination or fantasy. And real mental problems were supposed to be rooted in the physiological. The etheric soul that animates the whole body is replaced on the one hand by the brain and on the other hand by the self. Possession, hysteria, madness, schizophrenia are all examples of mental illnesses that were disenchanted during the 17th century. They were internalized. The position is not due to an influence of spiritual forces from outside, but it is merely an imagination of the patient. And the same goes for hysteria and madness. They are physiological disorders that have an effect on the imagination. And in this way, experiences of trance, of spirit, demons, and angels are slowly but surely driven to the land of the imagination. We would see the shaman of the past as a schizophrenic, a madman. Within a disenchanted worldview, these people, like shamans, end up on the fringes of society. There is no place for people who live too much in the spiritual world. Someone who today claims to speak to angels and demons, we declare insane. And that person has nothing to say against that after all. It may be that he tells the truth, that he does hear and see angels. But often the DSM or ICD-driven psychiatrist will reassure him or her that these are only personal illusions rooted in physical abnormality of the brain. And conversely, in several primitive tribes of the Amazon, there is only one real abnormality or disease of mind, namely losing contact with the spiritual world. Someone who can no longer dream is no longer sensitive to impressions from the spiritual world. That is the one who is sick and needs to be healed by the shaman. Now, we will not go into the criticism that has been expressed over time on this concept of disenchantment. But in my view, the fact is that there is undeniable a grain of truth in it. Two comments on this. Disenchantment is a multifaceted process. There is desacralization, there is detranscendalization, and secularization. And in addition, there are also the counter movements. Now one has to pay a little bit of attention to the background of such a construct. And it is clear that Protestantism played a significant role in the emergence of this disenchantment. Unlike Catholicism, there was in Protestantism a strong separation between the profane and the sacred. There were no longer sacred places, sacred numbers, sacred objects, or sacred actions. The creature or the inner worldly was not to be deified in any way. But that, of course, in that time was not meant to be a desacralization or a secularization. On the contrary, it was intended precisely as a maximum sacralization of the one God. It was meant to be a maximum transcendentalization. The world was the theater of the glory of God. And all scientific research was a gift meant to discover and develop all that was necessary to arm ourselves against the effects of the damage that sin had done. Only it didn't stop there. In short, the distance to the holy man increased only. Of course, the image of the clockmaker who started the business and did not do anything else after that became a famous image of God at a large distance. And this de-Racialization of God from the world led to his exile. And not much later, it led to the announcement of his death. That has fundamentally changed our relationship to creation. The world was no longer a creation to which we had to answer. All value came from us. It owed to nothing but our utilities and gain. And it is this exile of God which had the effect of rendering the universe brute and inert. That implied the transformation of an ancient and spiritually informed conception of nature into the sort of thing that was available now for predatory extraction by commerce and the elites that grew around it. Of great transformational significance was the way in which a desacralized conception of the world made it free to a scale of unthinkably ruthless extraction in the form of mining, forestation, and the kind of plantation agriculture which we today call agribusiness. In other words, there is no use whatsoever of being able to see the Himalaya from a distance of 2,000 kilometers. Look at YouTube and you'll see enough. Max Weber himself used in his famous The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism a famous image to characterize the situation we live in. I quote, "The modern economic order is now bound to the technical and economic conditions of machine production, which today determine the lives of all the individuals who are born into this mechanism. And perhaps it will so determine then until the last ton of fossilized coal is burned." Take note, this is said a century ago. The care for external goods should only lie on the shoulders of the saint like a cloak which can be thrown aside at any moment. But fate decreed that the cloak should become a shell as hard as steel. That shell as hard as steel is the better translation of the German expression Max Weber used than the English translation of 1930. There one reads, iron cage. That expression, iron cage, by the way, became famous in itself but again, it was not a correct translation. But Weber didn't mean a cage because in a cage one is enclosed, suffers and is punished. Weber meant a hedonist motivated by the quest for materialistic consumption and confident of his own superiority. And he didn't mean iron as a metal and elemental Fe. He meant steel. Of course, because of its modern connotations as an invention and as a product of mass industrial production, steel as the product of human fabrication, as a metal that is associated in the European context with modernity, fabrication, ductility, and malleability, steel appears to have much more in common with capitalism than the iron of which it is a refinement. By the way, you probably do know that Dutch steel production is a subsidiary of Indian Tata Steel. still is around you. But in the meantime, you will ask, when is he going to tell us what we learn from the Indian perspective? Well, I'm not going to tell you what we can learn from the Indian perspective. That is, as I said, my question to you. I shared with you a problem, a real problem, a big problem. Problem that causes a lot of problems in today's world. I presented you a concern, and I would love to learn from you, to hear from you what we can learn about that. Do you agree, would you agree with me that an ecological perspective might be needed? I have presented you a problem, a personal concern, an existential concern, and I'm asking you for your advice. By the way, if I were to tell you what we are learning from the Indian perspective, it would just be a repetition of an old-fashioned, partly romantic, partly colonial question. As if I could control what we learn from you, those days are over. No, please tell me, explain me, tell me what we learned. And I learned a lot of today already. But as you may notice, I'm trying to find, even trying to develop a new perspective to be able to understand and to use these data we heard of today in the most appropriate way. Ecological thinking. The farewell of the magical and the sacred is typical for Western society and of a radical disenchantment. Of course, that history has its triumphs as well. But the question, the concern is whether man as a being is compatible with a disenchanted world. The human urge for enchantment remains and has grown again in the West in recent decades. Living in a disenchanted society seems to be neglecting an important aspect of a dignified, qualitative and meaningful life. As man faces a series of crises of unprecedented proportions, the disenchanted paradigm is coming under even more pressure. The gigantic tidal wave of depression and other mental illnesses. More than a quarter, 26% of Dutch adults had a mental illness in the past 12 months. That is 1 out of 4. That tidal wave of mental illnesses, as well as the ecological crisis, cannot be separated from the fundamentals and paradigms of the disenchanted world. After all, the disenchanted paradigm is related to individualization, relativism, nihilism, and materialism. And both materialism, which manifests itself in consumerism, and individualization and relativism have a major influence on the ecological crisis. On the one hand, the loss of meaning and community causes a spiritual and existential crisis, and on the other hand, it causes little decisiveness in the face of collective problems such as the ecological crisis. The exploitation of nature is largely rooted in a disenchanted, materialistic, mechanical worldview, as Weber suggested. And the disenchanted self, which is closed off and alienated from its natural environment, stands in the way of a more ecological awareness. So the problems facing the West require more than just socio-economic solutions. They require partial re-enchantment, a radical shift in the principles of our disenchanted thinking. A new form of holistic awareness and thinking will be needed, I guess. So what is needed for this? Indeed, I think a way of thinking that is holistic, which is based on the idea that the self is embedded in and constituted by a complex natural world. Autonomy is not primary, relatedness is. It must be a form of ecological thinking that human beings understand in relation to the ecosystem. That is what ecology is about. It's the study of relationships between living organisms, including human beings and their physical environment. And that relationships are not possessing relationships, but living and lived relationship. There is not a world in itself, but a world understood in relation to its inhabitants, a lived and a living world. And being able to see the snow peaks of the Himalaya again evokes a new enchantment in the lived and living relationship between humans and their environment. It was a moment, even though I didn't see it myself, I read it in a newspaper, when upon the intimate bond between man and nature revived, unfortunately, for a brief time. Within such an ecological awareness, we can again search for shared experiences of meaning and purpose. After all, the ecological crisis offers us a horizon of meaning to discover a new enchantment, a spiritual reappraisal of nature that we cannot interpret in purely rational or scientific terms. A thorough ecology could provide a new enchantment, which does not fall back on a dogmatic system of religion. An ecological perspective offers a nuanced vision of well-being in a positive sense. From an ecological point of view, well-being is not a static situation, but a dynamic equilibrium in which persistence, adaptation, and transformation play an important role. And this is, of course, not only based on automatic patterns, there's also a certain awareness and an alertness to the interactions with the environment and yourself. And this awareness is helpful to sense changes, to recognize old habits that are no longer appropriate, and to be able to find and practice new habits. If we need equilibria to live a worthwhile life, then life is confronted and tested by events that can upset the balance and evoke a meaning crisis. And in this picture is shown that the common approach is a very difficult one. But just looking at the figure, you can see how difficult it can be to keep this green ball in its place. But that is the static model of equilibrium. And we have to do a lot of things, as is said here, by medication, for instance, continuous monitoring, and so on. It's a static equilibrium. But it is important being able to modify and even make a transition to a different equilibrium instead of holding on the old one. And well-being is therefore resilience and flexibility, based on resilience and flexibility. Originally, resilience meant the capacity of a system to prevent, minimize, or endure the consequences of adversity. But recent studies show that it is not about bouncing back to the old state, but that it is about how the ecosystem adapts and transforms into a new context. Unlike mechanical resilience, the ability to transform plays an important role in ecological resilience. Resilience in an ecosystem is therefore the ability of a system to adapt to changing conditions and to transformation in a new equilibrium. This is what the ecosystem is about. People and the environment are closely connected and continuously influence each other. But also inside people, there is constant interaction, such as the interaction between our brain and our body, and the interaction between complex systems in our brain. All there is interaction. And these interactions shape our experience, shape our lives. And in that sense, ecology offers us a new language that helps us move away from the reductionism and helps us to look at mental health in a new way. A new language with new concepts like resilience, adaptation, and equilibrium. And the challenge is, like ecologists, to look at the world at all these levels, even to the empty space surrounding the figure you see. Spirituality is not mentioned by the figures, by the designers of the figure I showed you. But we could say that it is implied at all levels. Probably it is. However, spirituality is omnipresent, isn't it? You have a summer god, Suruya, a goddess for the morning rat, Uzas. Forgive me when I pronounce the names in a rather strange way. You have a god for the wind. A goddess for the earth, a god of heaven, a god of death, a god for hospitality and marriage, Varuna, who watches over the social order. There is a god for speech and the holy word, a god for fire that burns the sacrifice, and much more, many more. And maybe, but that depends on how you read your sacred texts. Maybe there is one God after all, who is the origin of all the others. That being said, can I now understand the socio-ecological model I showed you? The socio-ecological model of the world. Can I imagine, can I understand this model as a theater of the deities, in which we are invited to view the world around us not from a distance as spectators, but to let ourselves be carried away, to be enchanted again, to let us be touched and moved? by these gods. That's what they do, isn't it? Doesn't Hindu spirituality has something liberating in rituals and in following a spiritual teacher, the guru? Your devotion and worship of the gods as practiced by heart in poetry, musicality, and dance. Is it not the expression of our relatedness to our surroundings in wonder, in gratefulness, and great expectations? Or am I completely wrong? Please tell me. And then there is, of course, the cow, the holy cow. According to Rodriguez, who was born in India and wrote a very interesting book about Hinduism, according to Rodriguez, the cow is the ecological symbol par excellence. The cow as carrier of many symbols, maternal symbol, non-violent symbol, symbol of binding relationships between human beings and other living nature, creatures, expanding a person's sense of connectedness to the web of life. But Rodriguez is aware of the other side of the coin, that it is too naive to assume that all Hindus adhere to these values. The discourses of progress, economic success, production of steel, and modernization, as well the need to survive, can be far more compelling. Oh, woo, disenchantment ahead. Tell me, what do we learn from Indian perspective? To conclude with, again, Dr. Srinivasa Murthy explained me that Hinduism has 5 aspects that are relevant for mental health. It is the way Hinduism looks at religion and spirituality as a way of life. Indispensable. The unity of mind and body. A holistic approach. Again, indispensable. The stages, the development of life. The discharge of one's responsibility. And the science of yoga and meditation. I can only hope and wholeheartedly wish that these benefits are supported by wonder and enchantment, since health is one of the greatest and wondrous gifts of life. Why should we think and reason of all this? Because it is absolutely necessary and recommended by WPA that we as professionals are aware of our life view, our own life view and values, because they govern at a conscious or unconscious level our professional practice. And that we are aware of our views and values in order to practice these views and values with wisdom to the welfare of our patients. Last Friday, we went to Birla Mandir and we received a blessing from Lord Vishnu. I assure you, we will keep it in our hearts. And we will remember your hospitality and kindness as a sign of the Lord Vishnu blessing. I thank you very much.
Peter, that is enchanting. your theorization and building the story. Initially, I was surprised you brought two different things, but you finally brought the connectiveness and linking, both from your perspective of understanding of the religion, which I've gone through your publications and all, and then finally connecting to the Hinduism. That's what I loved much most. Finally, it's enchanting and tranquilizing too. But probably, I think you have read a few books, and both the books you quoted, they're good writers. They're very knowledgeable writers. At the same time, Hinduism has a lot of pluralism. As Srinivas Murthy's quote, which you quoted, we are free. The only difference between Hinduism and other, I would say, religions like Christianity and Islam is that there is no definiteness. You don't need to follow. Whereas you are free, you have a freedom to choose. That is considered as a strength and also weakness sometimes. I'm also thankful to you you did a lot of themes during your lecture. And I'm sure Kishan and all the members who are here are very happy to bringing you here to hear the concept in a much larger perspective and bringing to a minor table. Especially when you talked about ecological crisis, every one of us will relate. We know today everyone is talking about ecological crisis and it's a man-made thing. But you connected that to much larger picture. Thank you very much. And I would give it to my elder brother, Bhagya Reddy, to close the session with his comments.
Thank you, Prasad Rao. Dr. Wagan, really you have given a very nice and elaborate connection between spirituality and psychiatry, how we treat today. You also mentioned much more of the deities and the worshipness and the objectivity of how we connect our soul or this thing connected to this thing. So Hinduism, mostly what we practice here in India, it is not a religion by itself, but it's a way of life. It is what we call, it is a way of life rather than Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana means it has been driven from above to the below, and there is a Dharma. Dharma, we always follow it. It's a multi-god or multi-spiritual, image worshipping of the gods. In some religions, single god, and some religions, no god. There is some highness somewhere, but you can't imagine there is this particular god in some religion. But whereas you connected, especially in Hindutva and Hinduism, and I don't always go to the Hindu philosophy, ecological perspective, as we said, and all we practice. This is a kind of religion which practices not only with ecology, the whole system of the ecology. We worship the tree, Tulsi Mata, we call it. We worship the snake, we call it Swarpa, this thing. We worship the lion as a goddess. We worship the air, water, earth, everything. So that leads to give connection to especially the mood disorders, anger, the depression, and this kind of thing. You relate objectively to the nature, to this thing, and imagine yourself with a deity or this thing. And also you mentioned about theater. So theater is very much of this thing. Even if you forget or if you give a gap between your thinking, your imagination, and your illness, and that imagination that gives you a perfect example of how best you can connect within yourself. As a Dutchman, I know you are a very strong person. I have toured most of Netherlands. I spent nearly a fortnight there. You are not only fight with the seas, not only fight with the windmills and tile of water and tiles, but you are very brave people also, because you came to India for the first time before in Vasco da Gama and other people came. You came to the India, and he colonized South Africa, South Moluccans. So though it is a tiny country, every day what I have seen, I have observed, they are so friendly as like Indians. I felt as if I was in India. People are very friendly, very affectionate, very. At the same time, the very zeal of existence itself is a question, big question for you in Netherlands. So that itself must have given the Protestant the vision of religious thinking and also the achievements of what you have gone through, the spirituality and the religion connected to the mental illness is very much paramount importance. So with these few words, I don't want you much of your time. Thank you very much, Peter Wagan. Thank you.
Well, just 2 words. Well, thank you very much for your answers to my question. I'm really grateful for that. And I really wish you all that the way of life is not at risk to be caught in the same trap we were caught in so many years ago and still wrestling with. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And won't be any questions because of the oration. Now the final item of this program is national anthem.
Sir,
Just 1 second.
Minute, sir. 1 minute, sir. There are, for information of audience and organizing committee, there are more than 400 members are online, and here the 60 members. This is the highest record of Raghuram Reddy oration. And now over to Raghuram Reddy, sir. Message to the, because so many persons online and physical, and message to the young psychiatrists as well as in India as well as in abroad. There are people from in online from abroad also. So your message and blessings to the young generation, sir.
So now that shows how important is the spirituality and the psychiatry. Now so many people are responding, especially the young generation, coming up generation. There's a lot to learn from this kind of thing. So Dr. Raghuram Reddy.
We have an excellent presentation by Dr. Peter. It started with one word, disenchantment, disillusionment. That means they have taken note of the illusion building, first of all, and how that has got to be broken down. Regarding what Dr. Kishan is asking me, I don't know, at the end of this long day, how to put it. I will try to put it very briefly. To me, spirituality and religion. First of all, I would like to be very careful about the word religion. Religion in its origin is cognitive. It has spiritual element. When the authors, the prophets, initially give out their prescription for suffering humanity, that religion almost invariably, as it passes on after the prophets, when it goes into the hands of the followers, so-called followers, and middlemen, so-called religious authorities, interpreters who interpret the prophets, they have almost invariably modified the original prophet's contentions. In fact, I'm told that Prophet Muhammad predicted that what he has preached will face later on 80 modifications which they have occurred. For me, the original religion, cognitive religion, not blindly believed as faith without going into understanding, that kind of a religion and spirituality is unitive. It addresses all human beings, not a few people, etc. It takes as a holistic understanding of all the human beings, how the human beings suffer, what happens. Excuse me if I'm, what from my understanding is some thinkers and have talked about it. A human being, born as a human being, in a matter of about 5-6 years, he becomes an individual. He is no more unitive. He is divisive. Individual, groups, almost every good religion suffers from this. That is called organized religion, as it is practiced. Whereas the original religion is unitive. The organized religion talks about their group of people, security of that group, followers. And that security is the source of insecurity, because when you say we and they, the others also want security as against you. And so there is a division and competition and all that. And all the prophets have talked about non-violence. Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad. In fact, Prophet Muhammad, he supposed to have said you must be non-violent when you are spreading the ideas of Islam. But the followers came and said, sir, we are trying to be non-violent, but violence is being imposed upon us. Then as a last resort, he said, to defend yourself, you might become violent. To defend yourself, not by yourself, and by preaching or by trying to expand your ideas, you are not violent. But to defend yourself from violence, you might. And a great thinker has said, in the name of religion, that is divisive religion, organized religion, we are trained to kill each other. You can take so many, almost every religion suffers from this. For example, people from West have gone to Africa, murdered number of people. Whereas the teaching is non-violence and expanding cognitive violence. Why we are suffering? Because we are trying to become individuals instead of a human being. As an individual, when I think of my security, minus me and others, leads to problems. It is that which has to be corrected. And I think I will not take too long a time because I'm conscious we are after a long day. We have an excellent opportunity as psychiatrists. If we understand spirituality as a cognitive process of a fact, it is not imagining or coining terms, etc. Fact is a fact. Fact and truth based cognition. If we understand that and we build back, we talk about organized religions and what they are doing and promote unitive spirituality and original religion back. If we can do that, we are not against organized religion. We are only saying what organized religion is facing. Yeah. If we bring back the unitive element, we are not only treating mental illness and suffering, but we are promoting unitiveness, and we will be probably answering end of violence, end of wars. For example, Buddha, like a prophet, Buddha used one word as a psychological thing. He said, what is responsible for suffering of a human being, of an individual? It is dependent identifications. You identify yourself and your group as against authority. That identification is the process, is the problem. You have moved away from unitiveness. Because you identify something as yours, as something which you like it, you start depending on that blindly, going on after that. That is the problem. That's why Buddha was probably rightly called as the first cognitive psychiatrist. He understood in one phrase, he brought out the cause of suffering. Probably the same thing was said by, for example, Prophet Muhammad. What is the greatness of Prophet Muhammad? Swami Ranganathananda, he said that Islam is a great religion because of what you said in the morning. There is brotherhood. That brotherhood is unitive. It is not against Islamic people and non-Islamic. All we human beings come under that. So, and Swami Ranganathananda also, he spoke in Karachi long time back about Islamic thought. And in the audience was Muhammad Ali Jinnah. At the end of the thing, he wondered. He said, there is a great depth in Islamic thought which we didn't know. Swami Ranganathananda has brought out. It is that unitive element which is suffering in the hands of the organized religion people, middle-level people. So, we have a great opportunity in our hands. If we understand, for example, there are many definitions of, one definition of, by a thinker of spirituality I like. Spirituality is freedom. Freedom from bias, hatred and all that. Again, promotes cognition as a human being. A human being, once he becomes an individual and he is after his family, his security, the insecurity builds up. You are becoming inhuman. Once you become your own individual sense, your own people, divisive people, etc., etc. We have a great opportunity if we can carry this message. You are with all the religions. You are not against any other religion except the organized religions. You are defending, you are liking, you are understanding. For example, in what is that book of Islam? Right. One of the first paragraphs talks about what is called Iqra. Iqra means read, understand. Once I understand, there was a scholar speaking. I attended, one of my Muslim friends took me. I asked him, sir, does prayer give us enlightenment, etc.? He said, Baksham, prayer is mere words. You have to read, understand, practice Islamic thought. Then you will get it. And in prayer, for example, how it builds up a very positive thing. In prayer, you are having attention only on Allah and nothing else. Not what desire you are going to ask God. That's not it. The whole thing is to destroy. It's a great religion. One religion where 5 times prayers. When you are totally paying your attention on God and Allah and nobody else, that takes away the divisive elements, etc. But is it being followed? That is the whole question. That is what we can address ourselves to. This is like in Christianity, the Sermon on the Mount is a great thing if we can go into it. Again, Buddha, everything. Jainism, Sikhism, everybody talks about that. But it is the organized religion which is destroying the spirituality and the religion. And if we can talk about that, I do talk to my Islamic friends. I ask them, what is inshallah? Very often they say, God will give us what we want. No. Inshallah means God will give what He wants, what He decides. He has His own calculation, not your calculation. Inshallah is not that. So, there are so many things which as psychology, we have 2 things which are basing on our great opportunity. Psychiatrists have this. The psychiatry is built up on 2 things, biology and psychology. Great 2 disciplines. By utilizing them, if we can spread this, because we are not going against any religion, except organized religion, which is destroying the original religion. I think I will stop at that. I have taken a long time. I have enjoyed. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Raghuram Reddy, in the form of Peter, met one more Raghuram Reddy. I'm listening Raghuram Reddy since last 3 decades. And today I really, Peter, very abstract presentation in the initial phase has given a wonderful meaning, sir. Really, and no comments. I'm really an oration, no comments. And at the end, I got, there's no comment. I understood everything. I understood your soul, sir. We'll have interaction. And so many persons here. will interact with you regularly. A wonderful human being. What Raghuram Reddy expects, I think he has seen a very good human being in you. Thank you. And now we'll go for the memento presentation to all. I'm requesting all the Raghuram, sir, please come over. Sir. Aravinda Brahma is waiting. Almost he postponed his flight to stay to listen this. And first mementos to chairpersons. Yeah, okay.
This memento.
Aravinda Brahma will give mementos to everybody, including Dr. Bhagirath sir. He is a young dynamic secretary of IPS and a future leader. I think memento presentation to Rajesh. Please come over to us. Rajesh, yeah. Memento to Rajesh by Aravinda Brahma. Yeah. Well station. President SPS. SPS shaped so many psychiatrists, successful psychiatrists, and a wonderful organization. To the Dr. Praveen. Photography session. Highlight. Then memento to Dr. George Reddy, Telangana State Branch President, IPS. And memento to Sai Krishna. Yeah.
Yes.
One bouquet to Spurti and Shweta and Sharanya. All three persons, a lot of appreciations to them for their wonderful work since last 3 weeks. Silent workers. All credit goes to Sai Krishna and Shweta, please come here. Sharanya, please come. I'm proud to be teacher for them as a proud student of Dr. Raghuram Reddy, and I think you will get first. Let three persons get bouquets. Yeah, you do bouquets to students.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
All these persons became as assistant professors. All PGs come and take the bouquets from your teachers. Yeah. Postgraduates. Ravi. Kamampati. No, give memo. I'm requesting you to give the memo bouquets to them. Yeah. Because, yeah. Ravi, Kamampati, Bhadrati trip, they were very impressive. The Uday Kumar and Murugesh Vaishnav was very impressed about darshan of Yadadri. A special darshan. Yeah, please come. Uttam, come on. I love you. Yeah. Sharanya, give to your. Please come, Amma. You come, Varsha. He's also PG. No, I never PG. Yeah, please come. Take from the assistant professor from Patnam Mahendra Reddy. Spurti, please give to RVM, please, and Chelmeda. Yeah. Photos, no, only photos. So she's now assistant or associate? Assistant professor of RVM Med College, Sharanya. Anuya, please come. Yeah. You are future organizers of Raghuram Reddy and other things. Today celebrating. So we'll, I think, vote of thanks. After vote of thanks, Raghuram Reddy, there's a photo session with Raghuram Reddy, and I think it's after national anthem. Vote of thanks by Spurti.
It's indeed a great pleasure and honor to be delivering the vote of thanks today. Any good program should come to an end. We would like to thank Dr. Raghuram Reddy sir for coming physically and gracing this occasion. On behalf of Karimnagar Psychiatric Society, we would also like to thank Dr. Vinay Kumar sir for gracing this occasion. We thank Dr. George Reddy sir, Dr. Praveen Kumar sir, and Dr. Rajesh sir for accepting me to be the guest of honor. We would like to thank Dr. Bhagya Reddy sir and Dr. Prasad Rao sir for accepting to be the chairpersons for this program. We would like to thank Dr. Peter sir for coming all the way from Netherlands for delivering this talk. I thank our KPS office bearers, Dr. Lakshman sir, Dr. Bhagya Reddy sir, Dr. Kishan sir, Dr. Praveen sir, Dr. Sanjay Kumar sir, Dr. Pavan sir, Dr. Purushottam sir, Dr. Sai Krishna sir, Dr. Shivakumar sir, Dr. Preeti ma'am, Dr. Varshi sir, Dr. Prithvi sir, the postgraduate of Pratima and Chelmeda for the constant support and guidance. We express a deep gratitude and appreciation to all the distinguished delegates who have come physically and attended this program, and also the ones who joined online and who made this program a grand success. We would like to thank the team of Sun Pharma, Sitaram, Chanakya, Sumit, and the whole team of Sun Pharma for their academic support to the program. We thank all the technical staff who was led by Ram Reddy for the wonderful work. We thank you all once again for this program.
Lakshman and Vishal. We missed felicitation to Vishal during you, and he's always doing work here and there. Yeah, please come. Shal Chudamma, Shal and yeah. Yes, no, he's day and night. No, your face is telling he received all the guests, especially IPS, and has taken a lot of pains. Please come. During felicitations, he is already doing some work somewhere. Bouquet. National anthem.
जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thanks to everybody. And only one word I want to tell to Peter. Dr. Raghuram Reddy invented therapy, total awareness therapy, is above the name, nameless, formless therapy. Is very simply, humbly sitting here, such a great human being. And I think now I'm requesting all youngsters to give your youthfulness to Raghuram Reddy as a self. Just no photo sessions, sir. Just photos, please. No felicitation, sir. Just a photo.
I'll stand with my friend, sir.
Individual photos. We want individual photos with you, sir.
Already dinner started. You can start the dinner as well as this will go on. Raghuram Reddy, very with difficulty came here and with to bless of all. Sir, please sit down. Please sit down, sir. Peter also will sit. And Bhagavi sir also will sit. Yeah. Okay, sir. Outside, sir. KPS members, all KPS, Varsha, Prudvi, Lakshman. The first photograph is, all the way they came from. Young practitioners, Prudvi is a please come. Future President. All PGs. All PGs. All PGs, and we request Deccan and RVM, whoever, please. We have a photograph of Minhas. Minhas group, Sharanya group.
Sir, all of you look here. Sir, all of you look here. Sir, look here, sir. No mobile phone, only camera, sir. Sir, Uday Kumar, sir. President of the South Zone. Sir, 1 second, sir. All of you look here. Okay. All of you okay? Next.
Recording stopped.